All right, so this is the female catheterization, urethral catheterization demonstration video. So today we're going to catheterize somebody who's in labor, who has an epidural, so has some pain control and is not able to walk to the bathroom to void their bladder on their own because their epidural is quite dense. So we've discussed this with our client, Victoria, and Victoria has consented to having an in and out straight catheter done to void her bladder. So we've introduced ourselves, we've provided our pronouns, we're aware of Victoria's pronouns, we've received consent from Victoria, we've washed our hands, and we are going to open our catheter tray as the first step of this process. Everything inside this Foley catheterization tray is sterile, so it's important to open it with non-sterile hands prior to putting on your sterile gloves for this procedure. So I'm going to open it. And because I do need, I'm on my own today doing this by myself, I'm going to need to put my catheter into the sterilely into the supply bin. So I've got my catheter, open it. And I should have some tweezers inside this bin. Just take my gloves out. Oh, there's the tweezers. Look at that. Tweezers inside, gently grabbing those as sterilely as possible. Did I show that good? Okay. Taking your catheter sterilely out of the packaging and putting it into your Foley catheterization set using your sterile tweezers. There. And don our sterile gloves. And donning our sterile gloves in a sterile fashion, very important. Ensuring that we're not touching anything that's not sterile with sterile hands. Okay, so now we have our sterile gloves on. We're going to place our drape underneath our client's bottom. A drape here. Remove. So the inside is sterile, so you can move this around as long as you're putting your sterile hand into your Foley catheterization tray and moving it sterilely, just like that. I put our drape under our client's buttocks in a sterile fashion. You see how it's folded over on my hands? Tuck it under. Maintains the sterility of your sterile field. We can touch the inside of our contents of our Foley catheterization kit with our sterile hands. We'll place our sterile drape across the area that we're planning to catheterize, which is right here. It's a nice window with sterile field around it to visualize the urethra. So we are going to clean the area with iodine solution. So the iodine solution goes inside our little cup here, and we have 3 cotton balls to clean one side, the other side, and down the middle in order to clean the area prior to insertion. So we'll say we have our iodine in here, it would be dark. So we can take our one cotton swab, clean down one side, clean down the other side, and clean down the middle. The whole time we're talking to our client and letting them know what we're doing. Just because they are epiduralized doesn't mean that they can't feel some of this. So it's important that we do talk with them, talk them through exactly what we're doing. So if somebody isn't epiduralized or has no pain control on board, you can use xylocaine gel to insert a urinary catheter. So we're going to look between the clitoris and the vagina. Anatomically, it's a bit different for every person, but the urethral meatus will be right between, somewhere between the clitoris and the vagina. So on Victoria, we can see it quite clearly. It's just right there. So we've cleaned and we've identified anatomical landmarks. We know where the urethra is. So for a straight catheter, we are going to use our sterile muco or sterile lubricant and put it on my glove here so that I can take the catheter, the end of the catheter, sterilely out of the tray. I can use it on my hand, which is also sterile, to lubricate the end of the straight catheter. I'll take my fingers. So Victoria, just going to feel a bit of touch here, okay? Just a bit of touch and pressure. Separate the labia, and you have a good visualization of where the urethra is. You will gently advance your catheter until you get urine flow into your tray. So now we're getting some urine flow. We can see the urine coming out. And we wait until the flow of urine stops. You can gently compress just above the symphysis pubis to ensure that you've drained the bladder completely prior to removal. Straight catheter. So we'll gently remove it, put it back into the sterile environment. Note the amount of urine that you have in your tray and what color it is, if there's anything abnormal about the smell or the clarity or the color. And then you would take away your sterile drape and you've finished your straight catheter in and out, we call it. So there is a time where you may be using an indwelling catheter or a Foley catheter, we call it. That would be the time where you would use your syringe that's included in your tray, your Foley catheterization tray, to inflate the bubble inside, or the balloon, inside inside the bladder of your client, so that you can continuously drain their urine. So for that, you would need a Foley catheterization kit. You would need a syringe of 10 cc's of fluid, a Foley catheter, and a catheterization bag to drain the urine. So now we're going to document the date, the time, and the procedure that we used, the procedure that we did. We can also document how our client tolerated the procedure, the size of the catheter that we used, the volume of water that we used to inflate the balloon. So in this case, it would be 10 cc's. If we used a indwelling catheter, we would document the volume of urine that was expressed, any specimens that we obtained if we got a urinalysis from this catheter, and what our plan is for future bladder management. Then we would ensure our client is comfortable and discard any garbage that we accumulated during this procedure.